A technician arrives after a building outage. The drawings on the tablet look official. The equipment list looks complete. Then the technician opens the panel and realizes the record describes the original project, not the building in front of them. A controller was replaced. A renovation changed a pathway. The service contact left years ago. The map is accurate on paper, but wrong when someone needs it most.
That gap can turn a simple repair into hours of calls, searching, and guesswork. So the question today is practical. How do you keep building technology documentation useful after handover without creating a giant administrative project?
Operations discovers the truth under pressure. Nobody gathers around the documentation when everything is working perfectly. They reach for it when a system is unavailable, a contractor needs an answer, or a tenant is waiting. What breaks if this goes down? That question reveals whether the information is genuinely useful or merely present.
Exactly. And when someone says, we have the closeout package, I want to know whether the person on the next shift can use it at 2 a.m. A package can be technically complete and still leave the facilities team guessing. The best day in operations is the one nobody notices. When something does go wrong, we need more than a beautiful binder.
Right. A closeout package tells you what was delivered. An operational map helps you decide what to do next. Welcome to Built, Wired, and Secured. I'm Alex Wergen, and I'm joined by Michael Harrington, who works from the property and risk side, and James Rogers, whose background is in facilities, maintenance, and building systems. Thanks for being here.
Glad to be here. This is one of those issues that looks simple until the first urgent decision arrives.
When people hear building documentation, they picture drawings, device lists, diagrams, sequences of operation, and contact information. What does the operations team actually need when the building is busy and something has changed?
They need confidence about 4 things: what exists, what it supports, who is responsible for it, and what it depends on. That last part is where teams often get surprised. The information may exist, but it is divided. Property knows the service relationship. IT knows the connection. The project file knows the installation history. The person handling the issue has to assemble the picture while the clock is running.
That last one is where teams get surprised.
Yes, and I would add one question. What changed recently? The original condition matters, but the latest change is often the clue. A replacement controller may behave differently. A controls adjustment may affect a sequence. A tenant project may leave the central system in place while changing a connection or a responsibility. If nobody records that story, the next technician starts from zero.
So the useful map is not just a snapshot. It is a record of relationships and decisions.
Exactly. A replacement controller can be installed during a routine repair. The work order gets closed, everyone moves on, and months later, another technician follows the old record. They spend half a shift tracing a dependency that no longer exists. Nobody made a dramatic mistake. The information simply stopped following the equipment.
And the downstream impact spreads quickly. Tenants feel it when a comfort issue takes longer to resolve. Business teams feel it when an interruption is difficult to explain. Capital planning feels it when the asset history is incomplete. From an operational standpoint, stale information adds time and uncertainty to every decision.
Right. That is where a documentation gap becomes a business problem. Michael, vendor turnover seems especially important here. A new service partner may inherit a building without inheriting
the reasoning behind it. Exactly. A contact list tells you who to call. It does not tell you what that provider supports, what sits outside its boundary, or what information it needs before arriving. After a transition, the first service visit can become an archaeological dig. That is fine until it fails, and then everyone is trying to reconstruct the same history at once.
A short change note can prevent much of that. What changed, why, when, who verified it, and what else might be affected. Not a novel, just enough context that the next person does not have to interview 3 people to understand a 5-minute repair.
I agree with the change note. Where I push back is the instinct to document everything at the same level. Property teams already have multiple repositories. If every small adjustment creates a new approval workflow, people will work around the process.
I'm not sure I buy that as a reason to keep the map thin. Sometimes the missing detail is exactly what causes the next maintenance error.
Only if we can name the decision that detail supports. If a detail changes how someone maintains, isolates, restores, or plans for a system, give it priority. If it does none of those things, it may belong in a deeper record rather than the first operational view.
That is fair. A maintenance team may need to know that two pieces of equipment share a control dependency, even if nobody needs a paragraph about every cable. So the answer is not less information. It is layers. A quick operational view with supporting detail behind it.
That feels like an important distinction. Prioritize the information that changes a decision, rather than trying to make every record equally elaborate. So, when does the map usually drift away from reality?
Usually through reasonable changes that nobody considers large enough to record. Equipment is replaced. A service boundary moves. A tenant improvement changes a connection. A familiar employee leaves. Each event feels manageable by itself. Together, they create a different operating environment.
Maintenance feels it first because maintenance is where the building talks back. A label does not match. A control screen uses an old name. A temporary workaround becomes permanent because nobody captured it. Then the next visit takes longer, and the team has less confidence in every related record.
What should trigger an update? A calendar review helps, but changes do not arrive on a neat schedule.
Use both calendar and event triggers. Review periodically for slow drift, then review immediately after a major repair, equipment replacement, tenant modification, controls adjustment, service provider transition, staff change, or outage that exposes conflicting information. If the way the building operates changes, the record should at least be considered for change.
And connect verification to work that is already scheduled. During the next maintenance visit or project walk, ask someone to confirm the critical record in the field. Documents can copy errors forward. A person looking at the equipment can often resolve the uncertainty in minutes.
Let's make this realistic. A property team has one afternoon, aging systems, and no appetite for a documentation rebuild. Where should they begin?
Bring facilities, IT, and the primary service partners together and ask where uncertainty would create the greatest operational impact. Choose one dependency. Trace it from the user-facing consequence back through the systems, responsibilities, and records. Mark what is known, what is uncertain, and what must be verified. Do not spend the afternoon debating every historical detail.
I would put the first version on one page if necessary. What supports what, who takes the next action, where the current record lives, and which questions are open. Then walk it in the field. Reliability starts with disciplined maintenance, and the information deserves that same discipline.
And who owns the map? That can become its own argument.
Ownership should mean responsibility, not blame. Someone maintains the record. Someone verifies physical condition. Someone confirms service boundaries. Someone gets notified when a dependency changes. Those roles may be distributed, but they cannot be invisible.
And the person who updates the record should not always be the person who validates it. A project team may document installation. Facilities may verify the field condition. IT may confirm connectivity or service responsibility. The operational truth is shared, so validation should be shared too.
That does not require a perfect platform, does it?
No. The tool can be a shared folder, a work order system, a drawing repository, or something more specialized. The discipline matters more than the brand. Use the place people already open. Define the minimum useful information and make the review responsibility clear.
Waiting for the perfect platform is a very comfortable way to postpone the work. Fix the wrong name, the missing dependency, and the outdated service contact first. Then improve the environment as the team learns what it actually needs.
If someone listening remembers only 4 questions, make them these. What is here? What does it support? Who owns the next action? And when was it last verified?
I would add one decision test. What breaks if this goes down? The answer helps prioritize the first review. Look at consequence, speed of impact, the number of teams involved, and the quality of the evidence. If nobody can explain the dependency, that uncertainty may be the reason to examine it first.
And listen to the people doing the work. A spreadsheet may call something low priority, while the maintenance team knows it causes repeated disruption. The map should capture operational experience, not pretend a document can replace it.
That gives us a useful minimum, a trusted view of critical dependencies, current responsibilities, recent changes, and the questions still waiting for verification. Not a perfect archive, a map someone can act on.
Exactly. From an operational standpoint, trusted information is part of continuity. Tenants feel this immediately when responsibilities are unclear, even if they never see the documentation themselves.
The best day in operations is the one nobody notices. A current map helps preserve that quiet by helping the next technician understand the building faster and helping leaders make better life cycle decisions.
Here is a simple place to start. Choose one critical building dependency. Find its current documentation and compare it with what the team operates today. Write down one gap, assign someone to verify it, and schedule a recurring review with facilities, IT, and the relevant service partners. Start small, but make the result useful to the person who has to act when something breaks. That wraps up this episode of Built, Wired, and Secured. Today, we explored why building technology documentation has to stay connected to real operations, real changes, and real responsibility. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us. Until next time, make sure the systems you're responsible for are built to last, wired with intention, and secured for the real world.